When the Catlin scientists first arrived in the Arctic, they met the elements head-on. Winds of close to 100 kilometers an hour made any research work all but impossible. Between blizzards, there's still the ever-present cold to cope with. So when you're hundreds of kilometers from civilization, living on frozen sea ice, a delivery of morning tea from your expedition guide
Morning.
may be the most luxurious way to start the day.
Hot tea.
Even then, coaxing scientists out of a warm sleeping bag in -20-degree weather isn't the easiest thing to do.
Thanks, John. I like to stay asleep and be comfortable in my nice warm sleeping bag. And the prospect of getting out into the cold is not one that I like to think about for too long.
What helps make sleep sounder is this first line of defense, triggered if a certain white and furry visitor happens to amble along.
In the Arctic, humans are no longer at the top of the food chain. So yes, the polar bear can do a lot of damage, and they have killed people in the past.
John Houston, who skied to the North Pole last year, was hired by the expedition to keep them safe. He's equipped every member of the camp with high-powered flares. As scientists measure acidity levels of the Arctic Ocean from this ice base, an exploration group is taking similar tests as they forge their way towards the North Pole.
I'm trying to have a look and scout the way ahead. Unfortunately, because of the amount of open water, it's so misty.
With the polar ice cap melting faster than past years, the only way forward has been through the water, where just a few minutes of exposure can lead to hypothermia and death. While the equipment has improved since the first explorers set out across the ice hundreds of years ago, the conditions remain just as harsh. Out here, where the temperatures can drop to -50 degrees Celsius, it is very much the strength of a person's will against the elements. That will is challenged in even the simple things like maintaining hygiene.
Snow bath, which really hurts, but hopefully we'll feel good afterwards. Right.
And everyday chores, they become an adventure in themselves.
Not that easy.
So what would lead people to answer the call of the North?
Fish they have turbo.
The Catlin team has been a unique pairing of environmental researchers and adventurers. What they share is a respect for nature, one that has grown with their time in the polar region.
Some of the big lessons I've had have been lessons of humility. That humanity and one person can never try to conquer nature. And those who do always end up on the wrong end. The wind is slowly coming around full circle.
Steve Chow, Al Jezeera, in the Canadian Arctic.